going on there, guys? We back with another one, and today we got to talk more about James Harden and the history of some of the things Daryl Morey was doing back in Houston. Now, James just came out today and called him a liar and indicated that he would not be suiting up for any organization that Daryl Morey is a part of in the future. And Daryl Morey has been his guy for many years. You know, when he first left Houston, Philly was his first choice because he wanted to be with Daryl Morey. Now, he ended up with the Brooklyn Nets, but that was his guy, you know, even more so than Mike D'Antoni. Traded for him, met him at the airport when he got him from Brooklyn, really looking out. So something over the last couple years and the underwhelming performances from the Philadelphia 76ers in the playoffs has changed the dynamic of their relationship. So we look back at a few things, and CP3 actually said Daryl Morey lied to him. He spoke with Mark J. Spears of the Undefeated about his trade and the way that was handled years ago, and he says, my initial reaction, I was shocked. Truth be told, I just talked to Daryl a couple days before the trade, and he said he wasn't going to trade me to Oklahoma City. That's funny because that is going to be the alert that pops up on everybody's phone because nobody knows that. But what the hell? I just said it. And then, you know, when Daryl Morey was asked about it, he declined to comment on what Chris Paul had to say about it. But all the people around the Rockets, everybody close to Daryl Morey and Chris Paul that was monitoring their situation said that it was a slim chance he would go to the OKC Thunder. Now, Chris Paul went there, was able to mentor Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and a lot of other positive things came out of that. But the way it was handled at the time, and mind you, Chris Paul and James Harden didn't really get along, so this is a move more so for James Harden than anybody. At the time, you know what I'm saying? So we got that. And then this is what Melo had to say about the way Chris Paul was traded, because you remember Melo was dealt before him. Let's peep it.
After the game, our friend Nick Friedel asked Melo if he was surprised at how the Rockets handled Chris Paul's deal. Anthony said this, quote, no, I wasn't surprised at all. When my situation happened in Houston, he was the first person that I called to come to my room. And we had to clear some things up, and I wanted to know if he had anything to do with it. And that was the first thing that I wanted to know. And he told me no. And from that point on, I told him, looked him in the eyes and said, look, just be careful. You know what I mean? Just be careful. And damn sure if, the same situation didn't happen to him. Now, Mark, you talked in depth with Chris Paul for the Undefeated about how things went down in Houston. He told you that he asked Daryl Morey, 2 days before the trade happened, are you going to trade me to the Thunder? Not just are you going to trade me, I've heard about this, are you going to trade me to this team for this guy? And he says that Daryl told him no.
Yeah, and he strongly said that, and I didn't grab it out of him. You could tell he wanted it out there, and I talked to Daryl Morey too. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to get into a yelling match with Chris or anything like that. The one thing the Rockets are saying behind the scenes is, well, Chris was told there was a chance. There was a chance. Maybe there was a chance that Chris was like, it's not possible, but Chris truly feels like he was told there was no chance he was getting traded at all and was stunned by that.
I have a huge issue with this. And the problem is, it reminds me of the stories that we heard coming out in Philadelphia during the process, where that's a disciple of Daryl Morey. It becomes fantasy basketball versus being a people business, a relationship business. You can't manage your team that way. Yeah. It's going to catch up to you.
So what do you have
It has caught up to him.
Which part of the problem do you, which part of it?
If you're going to invite a guy with a legacy of being a first ballot Hall of Famer, who has a great standing in this league, who's done things to better the sport, you better honor that person's career or for the time that you have him in your stead and make sure you take care of him. Or don't go after people like that. Go after other players who don't have that standing in the game. To me right now, between these two examples with Carmelo and Chris Paul, and then also, what Daryl Morey, voiced about China and Hong Kong and created that situation, I'm not so sure Houston's going to be a desirable place for players to go for the foreseeable future.
Okay, man, so look. you got other people saying that Daryl Morey may not go about these things the right way. And I'm trying to figure out what's the right way for you not getting money you used to get in your prime or trading you for more assets. That's what this business has always been. I don't know many happy people that got traded. I think Kevin Garnett is one that sticks out when Minnesota decided to send him to Boston. I think that's one that stands out. But how many other players, when they got the information they would be traded, were happy? I guess, you got Melo going to New York. You got people forcing their way out and going places. But I'm talking about a mutual parting where both parties are happy about the decision that's made. And I think KG stick out in that way. I think Melo, his was like pulling teeth and, going to New York. And you had all these other things that was going on with other players. So I say that to say that the Chris Paul move was more so for James Harden in the public's eyes. James Harden wasn't disgruntled at that point. He's acting like he's still 25, when he's in his 30s now, and it's proven that he's not the guy in the playoffs that you want. I don't know, like, he's mad about not being extended a certain offer or something like that, but James Harden, what do you want people to give you for a first or second round appearance in the playoffs? I mean, at this age, Tyrese Maxey is up and coming, and sometimes he plays better when you're not on the floor, younger player. Joel Embiid, he already has health concerns, so we don't see Joel Embiid as a player that's going to be playing, 15, 16 years. We don't know how long his prime's gonna last. We just don't know. I'm talking about without significant load managing. He's already load managing a good deal now, so it's only gonna go up as he ages and they're on the clock. So I'm thinking the organization is looking at it like that. And James Harden is one person that it's hard for me to give him. Daryl Morey did him wrong with him rescuing him for Brooklyn and all he's done for him in Houston. Maybe some communication has broken down in recent weeks, recent months, recent years even. But if Daryl Morey has done right by one person, it's you, James Harden. You just haven't performed it's funny, you don't have these conversations about if you are deserving of an extension or anything if you go out there and perform at a high level. So that's been my thing with him. I mean, the year prior, Jimmy Butler absolutely destroyed him in every way. He was shutting him down and scoring on him at will on the other end. And, then you come back this year, game one, you ball out. But that's because Embiid's not on the floor and you're able to overly dominate the ball. This is why Kobe Bryant always says you're not going to win, because his game doesn't allow another star to be a star. It's just about him getting his stats. And a lot of people was tricked by that, but I really wasn't, And again, I ain't taking no talent or no ability away from what the man's able to do. However, when you look at the results and the evidence we have in front of us, we see that it's a bit inflated. But the original point of this video, man, I just wanted to show y'all that there's others that said Daryl Morey goes about these things a certain way when it's time to trade. But when I look at Melo, he's a player that forced himself out of Denver. If you stay in the original place, a lot of times you get treated better at different points in your career. You stay there and fight with the organization. Now he bounced around in New York, then he bounced to OKC. Then you start bouncing to Houston. You start bouncing everywhere, LA. Then, your career takes a different turn. Dwight Howard forced his way out. Bounced to LA, Houston, then you bouncing to Charlotte, Atlanta. You bouncing everywhere, right? And your career takes a different turn. So I do wish players, as long as the organization is somewhat loyal to them, stay where you at. Stay where you at, because the grass is not always green on the other side. You know, and we see in these same type of scenarios over and over where a person's value goes down when they force their way out and they don't deliver a team to a championship. Only person value that hasn't went down probably is Kawhi Leonard. That's because he forced his way out and then he went to Toronto and got him over that hump and won a title. And I feel like, you know, with his injuries, his value is probably going down. But that's what keeps him at that level, because you know when he's healthy, you got a chance. And so nobody has that but Kawhi. You know what I'm saying? That bargaining tool. But yeah, I just wanted to show the other people saying this about Daryl. Let me know what you think in the comments, man. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.